Every year, several Magic the Gathering players go out of their way to build the most creative, fun, or competitive decks they could possibly make, depending on their juxtaposition in regards to Magic the Gathering. But when they jump into play queue on Magic the Gathering Arena to play their deck, they are met with the terrible, distressful sight of having to play against Dimir Rogues. Millions of cards have been sent straight to the graveyard directly from the deck, causing much death and disease. Anything they try to play on the board is immediately met by the distressful sights and squeals of a Bloodchief's First or a Heartless Act. Sometimes it doesn't even hit the field. The cards that were sent directly from the deck to the graveyard end up fueling a further weapon to counterspell anything you tried to play for just 2 mana based on the number of cards in your graveyard, thanks to drowning the lock. But with your help, we can change that. Call 0800 41317 709 035 and donate to the Planechase Foundation today. With your help, we can raise enough money to relieve several victims of this terrorist deck and subject it to a process known as rotation. But we can only do that with your help. Please call down today and save the lives of many Magic the Gathering players. Thank you. Hello, A-Person here, and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering Arena video. This is the last in the Challenger deck series this week, and we're doing probably the best Challenger deck of the lot. And this is based on an archetype that has arguably been super competitive from day one, from its very first day of introduction, and still continues to be competitive until this day. That's right, we're playing Dimir Rogues. We had to do it at some point, and I guess this Challenger deck is an excuse to do it on the channel. So, yeah, this is the Dimir Rogues Challenger deck. It's really, really good. You've got the Strength and Aggro deck with elements of control in there as well. It's super, super good. You can basically kill anything, and you can also really screw up your opponent, because this deck has a lot of mill involved, and this deck mills pretty rapidly. So you will be able to screw over your opponents, severely restrict their card choice, and really start attacking in the game very quickly. Or you can even mill them out. It's insane how good this deck is. And this isn't even the most optimum version of the deck, which says something about it. Normally Mono Red is the only archetype that can play well unoptimized, but Dimir Rogues have arguably even way better than Mono Red in standard so far since their introduction in Zendikar Rising, so that says quite a bit. Okay, so we're going to go over the card choice now. This is the first episode that's been recorded since the release of Strixhaven, so we will be getting a bit more board variety in here. There are no Strixhaven cards in this deck, but stay tuned to the channel for the future, albeit it might be a bit of some time, because I will explain at the end of the episode, when I'll be explaining my plans going forward after this episode. Anyway, let's do a card by card analysis of the deck. So we have 4 copies of Merfolk Windrobber. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player mills a card. And we can sacrifice the Merfolk Windrobber to draw a card if the opponent has 8 or more cards in our graveyard. So it becomes a late game draw engine. There's never really a bad time to have this out, so there's always that. 2 copies of Bloodchief's First. This is an amazing card that was introduced in Zendikar Rising. For 1 mana you destroy target creature with Planeswalker with mana value 2 or less. But this has a lot more flexibility to it, because you can also be paid. You'll also be kicked for 2 in a black, so that's 4 mana in total, with 2 of them being black, to destroy any creature or Planeswalker. So that means that you can basically destroy anything with this card. So it's never a bad time to draw it. Sorry, but we only have 2 copies of it, because that's what they put in the Challenger deck. We will address this later on in the video, but yeah. one copy of Malachite Rebirth, where for 1 mana, you can choose target creature, you lose 2 life, but that creature gains, when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. This is the instant speed, so we can use it to save a creature from dying and keep it on, and that will also trigger our Enter the Battlefield effects of Thieves Guild Enforcer. One of the best cards in Standard, and probably why Rogues are so competitive, because this card is absolutely ridiculous. For just 1 mana and flash, you get to mill 2 cards, but then when another rogue enters the battlefield, that effect keeps stacking up, and if you have multiple Thieves Guild Enforcers down, you get to mill a ridiculous amount of cards, and it is incredibly easy to get your opponents to 8 cards in the graveyard, at which point Thieves Guild Enforcer gains Deathtouch, and also gets +2/+1, so it becomes a 3/2 instead of a 1/1, so yeah. This card came in and replaced Knight of the Ebon Legion as the most high value 1-drop, and it makes Rogues ridiculously good in Standard right now. Onto the 2-drops, we have Vantress Gargoyle, which has flying and it's a 5/4 for just 2 mana. But there is a catch. Vantress Gargoyle can't attack unless defending player has 7 or more cards in their graveyard, and it can't block unless you have 4 or more cards in hand. We can tap it to have each player milling a card, so it can fuel us that way, but let's be fair, this thing is a 5/4, the mill is so good now that Vantress Gargoyle is insane, and it's just an Eldraine power card coming into play here. Yeah, you're going to see a fair few Throne of Eldraine cards in here, because that set is still making Standard ridiculously OP even to this day. Several cards were banned from that set, and we've still got several things that are wrong with Standard. Anyway, we can attack with this thing, but we also have a lot of removal. This is 2 copies of Eliminate, where for 2 mana you destroy target creature or planeswalker with mana value 3 or less. It is a fair amount of stuff, to be fair, but there's also some times where this card is completely pointless, so only having 2 copies is not ideal. Heartless Act is a lot better, apart from the fact it can't hit creatures with counters on it, so however, 2 mana for instant speed removal is ridiculous value. There's a lot of premium removal in Standards so far. Removal is arguably the best it's ever been for a long time, so yeah, we can see that reflected in the deck here. Black is insanely strong right now. Especially when you also got something like Drown in the Lock. Oh fun, Eldraine, what have you done? This card uncommon. I saw this card ages ago and thought, this is ridiculously good. It has taken a while for it to be shown up and competitive, because mill hasn't been that great until now, but of course, since mill became really good, they started playing Drown in the Lock, and Drown in the Lock has proved to be a massive problem, because this is a counter spell for just 2 mana, basically counter spell, whereby it's dependent on how much cards your opponent has in their graveyard, but it can also be used as a removal spell depending on how much cards your opponent has in the graveyard. Every card in your opponent's graveyard fuels this card and means you can destroy even more for just 2 mana. It's insane. And one of the reasons, this is one of the main reasons Dimir Rogues is so good, because you can mill your opponent, screw them over, but if they ever try to play anything onto the board, oh no, we can just remove that too. And you just leave your opponent feeling absolutely helpless. Next up, Soaring Thought Thief, the Rogue Lord that's currently in Standard right now. This is an insane Rogue Lord because it has flash and flying, and it gives all rogues +1/+0. But there's a catch. Your opponent has to have 8 or more cards in your graveyard. But that's not really much of a problem, because this deck mills the opponent really fast thanks to Thieves Guild Enforcer, Merfolk Wind Robber, and destroying the opponent's stuff with Drown in the Lock. So this thing does have mill support on itself, where whenever rogues attack you get to mill your opponent for 2. So this combined with Thieves Guild Enforcer does really stack up really fast and mill your opponent. So yeah, you can see how good the cheap stuff is in this deck. It's insane how good it is. So we'll augment that with even more stuff. We have Black Bloom Rogue, which has Menace and gets +3/+0 as long as an opponent has 8 or more cards in the graveyard. It's almost like this was a draft archetype for Zendikar Rising. With Black Bloom Rogue, because of how quickly you can mill your opponent with Thieves Guild Enforcer and Soaring Thought Thief, it becomes extremely easy to get this down and turn it into a 5/3 for just 3 mana. Similarly, Nighthawk Scavenger, which has Flying, Deathtouch and Lifelink. Nighthawk Scavenger's power is equal to 1 plus the number of card types among your cards in opponent's graveyards. So, if you've heard of a card called Tarmogoyf, which has this kind of thing on both ends of it, this is the same thing. It costs 1 more mana, but it also has Flying, Deathtouch, Lifelink, and with the amount of mill support in the Rogues archetype right now, you can just mill your opponents really quickly, and it basically gives you the chance to play something like a 4-3 or a 5-3 for just 3 mana with Deathtouch and Lifelink. It's just going to gain you so much life, keep you alive, and yeah, it's ridiculous. We also have 1 copy of Rankle Master of Pranks, sadly only the 1, but this is a really good card. Whenever Rankle the Master of Pranks deals combat damage to a player, choose any number. Each player discards a card, each player loses 1 life and draws a card, and each player sacrifices a creature. And again, that just fuels other rogues even more, so really good card which can just wreck your opponents. And milled out your opponents, a load of stuff into the graveyard. Well, rogues have historically been known for stealing things, and so we have 3 copies of Zareth Sand the Trickster, whereby if a rogue is attacking, we can pay 4 mana, which includes a blue and a black, to return that rogue to our hand, and then put Zareth on and start attacking. But that's not really too much of a negative, because we can then use the flash abilities of Thieves Guild Enforcer and Soaring Fort Thief to get them back onto the battlefield again, so we don't remove that benefit if it's too long. But when Zareth deals combat damage, you get to look at your opponent's graveyard, take any permanent card that's from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield and put it under control. This includes lands, so if we mill opponents' lands, we can just steal their lands too. It's a bit silly, really. Anyway, that's it for the non-land cards. Next up, we have the lands, which very simple: 8 islands, 9 swamps, 4 dismal backwater, 4 Temple of Deceit. Again, no pathways in this because Challenger deck, and they want to keep the mana base cheap, I guess. I mean, pathways aren't that expensive. Okay, now to the sideboard. Now, this has not been too optimised through the new Strixhaven sideboard mechanics, really. I need to change this around much because I don't think we need 3 things about dust in the sideboard. It's so if we move the things to the dust, okay, so we'll have to sort of get through this. But we have 1 more Bloodchief's First here, 3 Cling to Dust, 3 Duress, 2 Negate, 2 Agonizing Remorse, 2 Pestilent Haze, and 2 Into the Story. I'm a bit surprised this card is in the sideboard of this Challenger deck because it's really, really good. Yes, it looks like it costs 7 mana, but it's actually 4 mana to draw 4 cards in this deck. And any card that allows you to draw the same number of cards as the amount of mana you put into it, or even better, is a ridiculous value card and should really be played in the main deck. But alas, it's currently in our sideboard, so we will have to deal without it. So yeah, that's the sideboard. I probably, for best of 1, I take out a Cling to Dust, Duress. Actually, 2 Cling to Dust and 2 Duresses to give one of the other types of cards we have in our sideboards a chance to be in the best of 1 sideboard. So yeah, that is going to be the deck. So, this is going to be the last Challenger deck of the series, and I think we're ready to start giving this deck a run for its money. Let's terrorise some people out. I highly suspect there'll be a lot of people who might scoop to this because nobody really likes playing against Dimir Rogues. It's a very demoralising deck to play against, so yeah. But anyway, let's enter the arena! Okay, so we are going second here, and as a result this hand does look somewhat slow, but I think we can keep this. Hopefully we can draw an untapped land, and that should help as well. That would also be really good too. So we actually have a better play than what I was originally going to go with. Oh, that's even... Okay, this works out really well. Wow, that's awkward. We're going to lose the Heartless Act, I think. Anyway. So we've got Merfolk Wind Robber, and that will mill them even more. So they now have about 6 cards in the graveyard. We unfortunately lose our Heartless Act. Another Elspeth's Nightmare. No! Well, that's annoying. We're going to go ahead and cast Rankle. Each player discards a card. We're going to discard our Temple of Deceit. They discarded an Ugin, that's cool to see. Sweet. There goes our graveyard. 5 Extinction Event. Well, that's going to get rid of the even creatures, I think. So yeah, there goes Soaring Fort of Fever and Rankle. We'll get another Merfolk Wind Robber out. Actually, if they do try to have another Extinction Event, we can always just sacrifice all our Wind Robbers to draw more cards, so there is that possibility. Well, Elspeth's Nightmare does absolutely nothing there. Cosmos Elixir coming down, oh dear. Well, that's bad, it's just going to make it much harder to try and whittle down their life totals. So we'll attack. And get milling their deck. So if they have an Extinction Event, we'll just sacrifice all our Merfolk Wind Robbers and draw cards. Crawling Baron's coming down. That's a problem. Stupid Cosmos Elixir though is just... Ah! We might have a way to do this now. Unless they have a kill spell in hand. See if we have a response. No, right, we put them down and let's take their Ugin from the graveyard. And they concede! Yep! Well, that's how this deck works! You get Rogues down, mill your opponent to death, then get Zareth in to steal one of their best things from their graveyard and win the game from there. Especially if they're playing Ugin. It's just... Well, yeah, that's how this deck works. On to the next game. Okay, well, This is a pretty good opening hand. We've got the Thieves Guild Enforcer on the opening hand, and then hopefully we can protect it the following turn. So, yeah, we'll go ahead with this. Typhoid Rats comes down. Let's get milling. Put a Dismal Backwater down. No need to attack just yet. Eliminate. Well, in response to that, Malakir Rebirth. And let's get more mills going underway. Of course, they will be to attack us now, but that's fine. Okay, how much will a Nighthawk Scavenger be worth? A 4-3, okay. Well, we might as well put it down then. I still attack for 1, but that shouldn't take too long to get anyway. What do they have in their graveyard now? Vengeful Reaper, that's something we could look at. Eliminate on the Nighthawk Scavenger. Of course. Well, that just pumped the Thieves Guild Enforcer, to be fair. Put this down. I'm going to say we're not going to do that because, well, they were obviously anticipating something like a... We need another rogue really, so that Zareth can come down a bit better. Hooded Blightfang coming down. So it's a mono black Deathtouch deck by the looks of it. Okay, well we'll put this down and drown in the lock there, just Hooded Blightfang. A lot of Deathtouch decks today. Call the Death Dweller. Oh come on. And it has Menace too. Foulmine Knight coming down. So again, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to wait a moment. No attacks. Another Hooded Blightfang. Sheesh! Okay, this is ridiculous. I really needed some form of removal. So let's use this Merfolk Wind Robber to try and find some. Ah, that's a... Well, I suppose you shouldn't be surprised by that. And I think they have lethal on board here. Yeah, good game. Yeah, unfortunately, the Hooded Blightfangs were just going to pretty much drain us completely there. Nothing much we could do, honestly. It wasn't really the best of results there. Yeah, just got out-pressured by Deathtouch creatures that we couldn't attack over because we didn't have any Soaring Thought Thieves. So yeah, Soaring Thought Thief might be a real key to getting this deck to really work. Also, more removal would have helped too, so The deck has the tools to deal with things, but so far there are a few issues with this deck that I'm finding so far. Anyway, let's go on to the next game. So we're going first. We're going to Murph Wind Robber out first, and then we've got to eliminate to remove something else if necessary. So we're going to keep this. Here's the Wind Robber. And I'm going to go hold open and eliminate if needs be, but they might have a frostbite on hand. So let the mill commence. No removal, eh? Well. Oh, a Soaring Fort Thief, that's nice. Well, there's Bone Crusher Giant. Right. So they did have removal for it. Oh well. Next turn we can eliminate their Bone Crusher Giant. Oh, a Rimrock Knight comes down instead. Okay, well. That's getting eliminated. This is Mono Red. We play Mono Red. So make sure we can guarantee ourselves a they probably don't use the Faceless Haven. No, they're using the Bone Crusher Giant. That's fair enough. Soaring Fort Thief comes down. Oh, come on! Come on! Ugh. That's annoying. Zareth. Hopefully this can turn the tables on them. That being said, we're not going to exactly be able to block a Rimrock Knights, and they can easily remove it, so... Oh, of course they have an Ember Cleave in hand. Mono red be mono red, I guess. So yeah, we're gonna get rid of that Bone Crusher Giant. Take the 2, that's fine. Because Bone Crusher Giant is gonna be ours soon enough. And they concede. Yeah, not surprising. That just shows you why Dimir Rogues has such an edge on mono red at the moment, because it can compete with it in terms of speed and efficiency. Yeah, that's... I don't really blame my opponent for scooping there. It was just... well, yeah, you know, it's just a good deck. Or a broken deck in some ways, but there is an even better version of this kind of deck. We will go over that at the end of the episode. But for now, let's move on to the next game. Going first, some decent stuff in here, not completely ideal, but we will keep it nevertheless. Tell the Deceit or Swamp, that's nice. Just so we get double black for things like Nighthawk Scavenger in the future. Opponent playing mono black by the looks of it. We'll put the Thieves Guild Enforcer down first. 4. Soaring Fort Thief coming down. No attacks. Now they're playing mono black, which means they're going to have removal. There's pretty much no doubt about that. Agonizing Remorse. I think they're going to take Zareth here. Oh, look at Vantress Gargoyle too. Oh no, they got off that now, so probably will be Zareth. Shame, that Crystalline Giant looked like a nice target to take. Okay, I believe if we attack now, then we will power up all our rogues, so... And everyone's attacking. Good. Now, we can't block with the Vantress Gargoyle, but that should be fine. This is the most aggressive Dimir deck I've ever played, really. Normally they're slow, control-y, but this one's aggro-y and control at the same time. Come on, I know you have removal. Who are you going to target? Oh no, they're going to cast a Silver Smoke Ghoul, okay. That means we can't really attack with the Fused Guild Enforcer. However, we are going to go ahead and cast Nighthawk Scavenger, who is a rogue, so more mills. Then we attack it overhead. Cosmos Elixir got mills. Right then, how will our opponent respond? It's looking pretty bleak for them, to be honest. They concede! Awesome! There we go, another win for Dimir Rogues. You can see how good this deck is. There are also other games I did play, but I forgot to hit record on, or the microphone wasn't recording for whatever reason. So yeah, that was the deck. We're going to go now to the bloopers, so you can see some of the things that didn't quite go so well in the process, or some things that did go well, but I didn't feel like were sufficient quality to keep in the recording. But there were some interesting moments there. You're about to see them anyway. So let's go straight to the bloopers. So yeah, this is the Strixhaven board, the board that was recently added to the game. Opponent, we're going to complete the Vantress Gargoyle at a time where we need it to be able to block. Or when Soaring Fort Thief can come down. Ideally, we want to hold up Soaring Fort Thief because we can also hold up Heartless Axe if we need to. Okay, this is getting ridiculous now. Well, let's go straight to the bloopers. We really could do some removal here. Primal Might coming down on the Soaring Fort Thief. Well, that's annoying. Okay, this turn we probably will have to sacrifice our Merfolk Wind Robber to be able to draw a card. Oh, come on. Really? There's Great Henge. The music's frozen here for a moment. What do we want to take? We've got some options there. There's a Love Struck Beast that could be possible to take. The Garruk, I think. Shame we couldn't take that Hydra though. Take action. -2 the Garruk. Boring clicks. I knew they had to have it. Great Hundreds of Roaring Clicks is so freaking good. Now I think Thieves Guild and Force has pretty much done its job here. So we're going to go all ahead and attack. Dang. Okay, that's not quite how I expected to go. They don't. Okay, and that's a very good draw. Unfortunately, my mouse is acting up at the moment, so I'll have to sort of try and sort this out. So I have to use the touchpad for now. Right, so this will be a bit slower. Okay, okay, let me just replug my mouse in while right, so drag this soaring forth. Wow, this is an epic fail. Oh, I see what's going on here. Actually, there's a bit of plastic that's caught in the mouse itself. Wow, this is awkward. Just trying to sort this out here. I'm not sure, is that really the problem? Oh, okay, we got it working. And of course, as soon as we get the mouse working again, they have a banishing light for our Nighthawk Scavenger. Sentinel's Eyes. So I'm like, right, we're going to go ahead and drown the lock to get rid of their banishing light. Sorry, we can't get rid of the banishing light. My mistake. I was trying to. Oh, I forgot about the fact I could destroy creatures with that. What am I thinking? That can't destroy the enchantments unless you're playing Feed the Swarm, so. But that was a very quick concession, so. Yeah! Okay, well, that was a really short game in the end, so. Yeah, let's go on to the next game. Of course, yeah. I suspect we may be up against Mono Red here. This is Mono Red. Everybody Mono Red. No, is it? Okay, fair enough. Soaring Thought Thief's coming down. Oh, come on. They waited right until the Soaring Thought Thief came down to really do anything about it. Okay, well, we'll put a Vantress Gargoyle down. Scorching Dragonfire. Great. I hear Stormwing Entity coming down. Fortunately, Vantress Gargoyle can attack right now. And it will definitely be able to attack now because we can just heart attack the Stormwing Entity. Practical Research. Draw 4 cards, then discard 2 cards unless you discard an instant or sorcery card. That's a new card from Strixhaven, and I must say it's really good in this deck, although 5 mana is pretty expensive, but that's. Well, it's basically like first for meaning, except for instants and sorcery. So they are definitely going to cast an instant or sorcery here to get them Riddle Form up to block. So we release begin instant. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, I guess we can kill their Riddle Form. Unless. Oh, come on! Oh no! Wow, that went really badly. And they top deck a Blitz of the Thunder Raptor because of course they do. Come on! Unless we can get rid of this Bone Crusher Giant. No, we're flooding out. Meanwhile, they get to scry constantly to find what they need to get. So yeah, this is bad. Okay, that's game. That was so annoying. Well, that went pretty well, didn't it? A few wins here and there. There were 1 or 2 defeats around, but most of all, this deck managed to win most of its games. And a few games, even off camera, there were a few wins. There was a defeat as well, where we got completely out-pressured by Mono White, but that's for a different matter altogether. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good deck overall, except for the fact that I think it has too few removal options. Unfortunately, this Challenger deck only contained about 10 different removal options, which Dimir Rogues normally plays more than 10. Because you've got 2 Bloodchiefs first, 2 Eliminate, and 2 Heartless Act. That is not really nearly enough pure kill spells. Not even to mention the 4 Drown the Lock is good, but needs to be more really. And there's some things that, the Ventress Gargle, I mean that's has made a big impact, and it can be played in the deck, but I wouldn't say it's perfect synergy with the deck. You probably want to cut it for something for more rankles really. Black Bloom Rogue, nah, yeah, you can cut this easily. So just cut it for more removal and more rogues really. That's all I have to say about that. So yeah, the earlier versions of Dimir Rogues were more like the 4 Bloodchiefs first, 4 Heartless Act, 4 Drown the Lock. We've got the Merfolk Wind Robber, then you also had Brazen Borrower as well. That's a card that's completely missing from this deck, which would have been extremely useful to have because it's just another removal option, and it itself is a rogue, so I definitely would play that. That being said, a few months after Zendikar Rising came out, Dimir Rogue sort of evolved from its original form into a new kind of deck. So let's hop over to the redone deck to see what that looks like. So what we have here might not necessarily be the most optimum version of Dimir Rogues, but it's pretty close enough. There's some variants you can do, but the premises is basically the same. The deck is now using Lurus as a companion because it can allow you to cast 1 permanent spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard. So we can fetch back our Thieves Guild Enforcers, Soaring Thought Thieves, and Merfolk Wind Robber. There's also a pretty really good draw engine combo between Merfolk Wind Robber and Lurus the Dream Den, where you can sacrifice it every turn, draw a card, and then play another card, play it again from the graveyard to continue the just gain card advantage. Because this deck has been more tuned to be one where you always have cards in hand, ideally anyway. So most of the deck is the same. We've got Merfolk Wind Robber, we've got Thieves Guild Enforcer, Soaring Thought Thief. I say most of it the same, but actually all the stuff with the permanents like Black Bloom Rogue, Rankle Master of Pranks, Nighthawk Scavenger, Zareth, they've all been cut out of the deck in favour of Ruin Crab. Now this isn't a rogue, but it suits the mill strategy perfectly because this has a landfall ability where whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent mills 3 cards. Likewise, we also got 4 Fabled Passage so that if we get crabs down, we can mill our opponents. If you have multiple Ruin Crabs on the battlefield at once, you can mill your opponent for about 12 cards in a single turn, or even more than that, depending on how many crabs you get down. Then for removal, we've got up to 4 Bloodchiefs first and 4 Heartless Act, cutting Eliminate entirely. Going along with Drowning the Lock, that means we have 12 removal spells instead of just 10, which is a lot better, and increases our likelihood of getting removal. But on top of that, Drowning the Lock is also a counter spell, so to add to that we have Disdainful Stroke, and we also have 2 Mystical Dispute, so that's 8 counter spells in the deck too. Now here comes the real spicy tech. 3 copies of Into the Story. 3 less to cast, so the opponent has 7 more cards in the graveyard, draw 4 cards, so that's effectively we're always casting this for 4 mana, so that's a really nice hand refill we got here. We also have 2 copies of One Mind. This spell costs 2 less to cast when you control a human creature and a non-human creature, and for 1 mana you get to draw 2 cards, which is amazing. And with our deck we have the human Thieves Guild Enforcer and Soaring Thought Thief, as well as the non-human Merfolk Wind Robber and Ruin Crab, so of 1 mind makes good sense to have in this deck. So yeah, I'd probably say this is probably the best deck in the standard right now, although there is some debate over that because you also got Soultide Ultimatum, which is also a really good deck. But Rogues have been one of the most consistently featured decks in standard since Zendikar Rising, and they just keep on performing, and they will keep on performing until Thieves Guild Enforcer rotates, because this is from M21. So yeah, that's going to be... Now for the lands, I've made one change. Actually, I should say, apart from the Fabled Passage, we have cut down a bit on lands, whereby we've only got 4 islands, 3 swamps, 4 Clearwater Pathway, Murkwater Pathway to replace the Tranquil Cove. So we've got the 4 Temples of Deceit, but swamps have also been removed for Agadeem's Awakening, we shall, if our Lurus gets killed for whatever reason, and isn't exiled, hopefully, then Agadeem's Awakening allows us to get it all back again. And since everything is so cheap in the deck, we don't need to cast Agadeem's Awakening for a huge amount of mana, because we can just get it all back again. It's just really, really good in general. And for the sideboard, we've got Annul, which is really good value, and as it allows you to counter target artifact or enchantment or spell for 1 mana. I was running it main board, but it was a brick too many times, so I just put it in the sideboard and for Disdainful Stroke instead. Essence Scatter, Negate. Honestly, either of those could be put in place of Disdainful Stroke, depending on what you expect to be facing. So there's some flexibility there. We also got Elimination of the sideboard just for any counter decks, since Heartless Act is not very good against counter decks. I've also got 2 copies of Mystical Dispute in the sideboard, specifically for playing against blue decks, especially in the mirror matchup against Rogues, where this is going to be really good. So yeah, that is the deck. Now, I'm going to announce that from next week, there is going to be a short break from Magic the Gathering Arena videos. I want to try and get some more Strixhaven cards ready for certain decks. I do have another deck that I do want to show that's finished, but I might want to treat that too. And another reason is I want to put a bit more time into the other project that's currently going on my channel, which is the Soul Calibur 6 Custom Character Tournament. If you like fighting games, feel free to check that out. There are a few Magic the Gathering characters in that tournament, as I entered Chandra, Nissa and Liliana, all within pretty much the same bracket as each other, so one of them was bound to progress quite far, so check that out if you want to see how they got on. But yeah, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Please share this with your friends to get more people watching the channel. Please subscribe for more gaming and TCG content. And hit that notification bell so that you can be notified when new videos come out. Also follow me on Twitter at GeneticAperson, all one word. Thank you for watching. I've been A Person. Goodbye.